Welcome to Module 4 of Live Success Now. In this session, we are going to explore how to engage the infinite in the successful manifestation of your life master plan. If you have completed that process of creating that life master plan, I congratulate you for doing that tough internal work. And I am pretty confident that you can now see that your path toward creating that successful and fulfilling life is not just defined, but is going to be a lot easier to create because you know where your path leads and what the steps along that path consist of. Before we get to the conversation about engaging the infinite, or as some people say it, having the universe work to your benefit, or utilizing natural laws, including that much hyped law of attraction, to bring your ideals into manifestation, I want to set the stage properly to provide you the perspective needed. So, there is this heated argument that has been going on for the last 2,420 years. On one side of the beginning of this great debate is the man who is the pivotal figure in the development of Western philosophy, a guy by the name of Plato. On the other side is the father of atomic theory, who invented the word atom and the whole idea that all things are made of certain basic particles. His name was Democritus. It is a debate about the very nature of reality. That this debate has been taking place for 24 centuries is a testament to both the endurance of big ideas and to the recognition that reality is a tough nut to crack. This raging argument is between materialism and idealism. On one side are the materialists, like Democritus, and on the other side are the idealists, like Plato. Now, for clarity, I need to define these words because most folks will take the word materialism to mean the belief that money, possessions, and comfort are the most important things in life. And most folks will take the word idealism to mean the belief that loftier ideals like justice, equality, or any other core values held by human beings are the most important things in life. But the original fuller definition is that materialism is the theory that physical matter is the only or fundamental reality, and that all being and processes and phenomena can be explained as manifestation or results of matter. And the original fuller definition is that idealism is the theory that ideas or thoughts make up fundamental reality, and that the only thing actually knowable is the activity or contents of consciousness. So this is that 24-century-old argument in a nutshell. Materialism says that the universe is composed of matter, and that if we want to understand the nature of reality, we need to study the fundamental particles of matter, like Democritus's atoms. Materialism also says that the mind is an epiphenomenal result of the brain, and if we want to understand the workings of the mind, we need to study the makeup of the brain to analyze neural activity in the brain. Idealism says that the universe is constructed in and by consciousness, And if we want to understand the nature of reality, we need to study the fundamental principles of mind, consciousness, thought, and emotion. Idealism says that consciousness is the ground of all being, that mind is creative, and that thoughts or ideas are the basis of all things. I am not going to confuse you with the intricacies of the whole deep, centuries-long discussion about the argument itself. But I do want to make this interesting point. Scientific materialism provided us with an incredible understanding of the mechanics of the universe, and it gave us a perspective about the nature of reality that underpins much of the way most modern people perceive themselves and the world. And it seemed that, for a while, that is to say, for several centuries, that materialism was winning the argument. Materialism gave us Newton's Principia Mathematica and Einstein's special and general theories of relativity. And it gave us most of the advances in science and technology up to the middle of the 20th century, say up to my own birthday in 1950. However, scientific materialism also led to the development of quantum mechanics, which has given us more technology faster than any preceding scientific discoveries. For example, the internet exists because of quantum mechanics. So do digital storage devices and your smartphones, your LED TV, solar cells, medical devices like PET scans, and lasers, and all those applications of lasers like eye surgery, CDs, DVDs, laser printers, industrial laser cutting tools, directed energy weapons, etc., etc. All these exist because we understand quantum mechanics. In other words, the majority of our day-to-day life now relies upon our understanding of quantum mechanics. Now think about this. You would not even be watching this video if it were not for our scientific understanding of quantum mechanics. This video is only happening here for you now because of quantum mechanics. However, here's the rub. When scientific materialism led to the development of quantum theory, it shattered the materialism side of the argument about the nature of reality. The understandings gleaned from quantum mechanics, from the behavior of the subatomic elements that comprise the universe, clearly demonstrated that the observing and participating consciousness determines how those elements behave. The famous double-slit experiments destroyed the whole argument that it is the behavior of the fundamental particles of matter that constitute the nature of reality, because these experiments proved that the act of observing that behavior determines that behavior. In other words, consciousness is more fundamental to the nature of reality than matter. Mind over matter takes on a whole different and deeper meaning because of our understanding of quantum mechanics. Plato was right, and idealism has won the day. Ideals are preeminent, and reality is a product of mind, of consciousness, of observation, of idealization, of imagination, of purposeful and intentional thoughts. All of these are non-material abstracts. However, while we take for granted and accept, without even thinking about it, as the new normal, all those technologies I mentioned, that are based on our understanding of quantum mechanics, the biggest understanding, the whole philosophical perspective of the nature of reality, is only just beginning to be integrated into our collective consciousness. We are only just learning to see ourselves as causative agents within universe. We are only just beginning to understand that ideals form the basis of reality. Most people still think as though the materialist view is the proper way to understand the nature of reality, despite the fact that we now know for certain that it is us, the observer, that collapses the waveforms of potentiality and probability into the actuality of the particles that make up the physical world. Now, you may be inclined to think that this is just some crazy theory I came up with and have been propounding in writing and on stage since 1995 when I wrote these opening paragraphs of the Delphin system. So I interrupt myself here to suggest you watch these YouTube videos I found for you just now as I was writing this video script. You can save them for later if you wish, or watch them now. But please be sure to watch them so that you can see that what I am telling you here is recognized by other people. So, because we now know that matter is not primary and mind is primary, when you hear all those people talking about training your brain for success, you should know that they are using the wrong words and mistaken analogies, and in so doing are actually supporting a false perspective of reality and are thereby limiting your sense of self. They are promoting the materialism belief, which argues that mind arises from brain. In other words, that your brain perceives, that your brain thinks, that your brain conceives, that your brain decides, that your brain determines how you behave, and that your brain determines your success. That you are limited by your physicality of molecules, chemistry, cells, and neurons, and DNA. But that is not the way things are. That is not the nature of reality. It is not your brain, but your mind that has all those talents, skills, and capabilities, not the 3 pounds of organic material inside your skull, which is simply that which permits electrochemical activity produced by thoughts generated in mind to be made physically manifest as neuronal activity. And you do not need to train your brain. You need to change your mind. Sparking electrical currents in your brain do not create ideas. Thoughts and ideas create those sparking electrical currents in the brain. Ideas do not originate in the brain. They originate in the mind. Mind does not originate in the brain. Consciousness is not a product of the brain. All things, including brains, are contained within and are a product of consciousness. Consciousness is creative. Brains are not. Remember what I said in Module 2? I said, ignoring the probability that other sentient creatures exist in this universe, and putting aside the creation of the universe itself, the human imagination is the only thing that has ever created anything. Imagination is not made of cells or matter. And although your imagination is contained within the universe, it is definitely not part of the physical universe. It is a metaphysical component of the universe. The physical arises from the metaphysical. Matter is a product of consciousness. Consciousness is the ground of all being, and mind is an aspect of consciousness. So, if you want to create success, understand that success is also created in the mind. And all those external factors we talked about in Module 1, like your past experiences, are also products of mind and can literally be dismissed as being completely irrelevant to your life simply by changing your mind. You get to choose the relevance of those files stored in mind, whether you call them past memories or call them future idealizations. The point is that what you hold in mind, what you place your attention on, what you choose to observe, determines your reality. Focus your attention on what you desire to create. Stop focusing on lack and limitation and focus on abundance. It is the new prosperity paradigm that comes about from the understanding of quantum mechanics. Yes, Plato's side of the argument was right. Idealism won. Scarcity thinking is as old-fashioned and incorrect as is the belief in a flat earth. Abundance is the natural and underlying order of things. Focus on your ideals. You have identified what you have as ideals in 5 aspects of everyday life. Now, let's take a quick look at some other aspects of who you are from a different perspective. Let's call them the layers of self. There is you, the experiencer. There is also you, the observer. And there is you, the creator. The experiencer aspect of self feels, responds to environmental stimuli, lives in the body, and believes that the evidence of sensory input is of primary importance. The experiencer is immersed in the physicality of being alive. The experiencer relishes the taste of chocolate ice cream and the touch of a lover's skin. In other words, tangible things. The experiencer's attention is placed on the material world. The experiencer believes that its own subjective experiences of the world constitute the reality of the world. On the other hand, the observer aspect of self thinks, usually as a result of experiencing. It lives in the mind and believes that analytical and critical thinking is of primary importance. The observer is immersed in both the physical and mental worlds. The observer relishes the beauty of sunsets and ideas, in other words, abstracts. However, the observer can also step back from being the experiencer and observe both the experiences and the responses to the experiences in order to place its attention on why experiencers cause certain responses. The observer can then look at its own thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions with a sense of detachment or mindfulness, and the observer believes that its own analysis of the world constitutes the reality of the world. Now, the creator aspect of self imagines, idealizes, and conceptualizes, usually within the confines of the conclusions that the observer has arrived at. It lives in the physical, mental, and metaphysical worlds and believes that its own idealizations are of primary importance. The creator relishes its own active participation in the world as experiencer, as observer, and as creator. Now, this is critical. The creator is capable of imagining a world different from what is experienced and what is observed. The creator aspect of self believes that consciousness is primary and that the underlying principles of creation are what constitute the reality of the world. Okay, so let's talk about those underlying principles that govern how the universe operates and how you can use the understanding of those same principles to assist you in making manifest what you identified as your life master plan. In other words, engage the infinite source from which the finite emerges. As we go through this, remember that you are creator as well as observer and experiencer. If you listen with that in mind, you will understand that you have experienced these principles in your everyday life, and you have also observed them in action. And whether you have done so unconsciously or consciously, you have also used them as creator to produce the events and circumstances of your life. I bring them to your attention here so that you can choose to use them consciously and intentionally from now on in order to effectuate your life master plan. I did not make up these principles. They are at least as old as those pyramids I used as imagery in Module 3. But these principles are not just age-old philosophical concepts. They are all implicit in the way we perceive reality and are built into our cultural inheritance. These principles are so fundamental to our understanding of the universe that they have been codified as natural laws. Law number 1, the law of causality. There is a cause behind every effect. Cause and effect is the basic assumption that underlies rational deductive thought and determines the whole scientific approach. The scientific method begins with the experiencer having an experience of the world. Then the observer thinks about that experience and asks why that happens, comes up with a possible answer or hypothesis, tests that possible answer in various ways, and arrives at a conclusion or theory, and then applies that theory to produce duplicatable effects in order to find the causal force or principle. And then the creator imagines how to use that understanding to achieve some benefit. That is exactly how science produces technology. Basically, this is how it works. Examine an existing thing, which is an effect, look for the cause, then use the understanding of that cause to produce new desired effects. The underlying assumption is that there is a reason why things are the way they are, that no thing exists in isolation. In other words, there is always an explanation or understanding of how things came to be and are the way they are, of why things happen the way that they do happen. The scientific approach to understanding the nature of reality is to take for granted that all existent things are an effect and that there must be a cause behind that effect. So, if success then is an effect, then there must be a cause or set of causes. So even if it appears that someone's success happened by accident or luck, logic and scientific methodology tells us that there must have been a cause or set of causes. What you have as results in your life are effects. So the question becomes, what is the cause of these effects? In the ways that count most, your choices are: you can choose to allow the past or previous events and circumstances to determine your future, or you can choose to enable your present or current idealizations and intentions to determine your future. It is only when you accept full responsibility for your life that you gain the freedom to be at cause. Not accepting that responsibility or assigning blame is a chain that binds you to lack and limitation. People who blame the results in their lives, the effects they experience, on outside events, conditions, and circumstances, or luck and fate, relegate themselves to being mere creatures of circumstance at the mercy of fate. And those people who accept responsibility for the effects they get to experience step up to the place of power called being at cause, and are therefore able to determine the flow and shape of their lives and thereby create their own destiny. Once you have accepted the fundamental principle that lies behind all that happens in the universe, called cause and effect, then you can move on to understanding and applying the other natural laws to your life in order to create the success you idealize and desire. Law number 2, the law of comprehensiveness. All is one. All apparent distinctions, separations, dualities, and existent things are united in one grand unifying schema, which we name universe. You may seem to be a distinct thing, but you are inseparable from the whole. You are a part of the universe, and the universe is one song. Each part of it is a separate note, each adding to the complete harmonic. Even the spaces between the notes are an integral part of the music. It is possible to identify a certain part of the whole harmonic and call it C sharp, B flat, or the Milky Way, or Leslie Figure, but that does not mean that that note exists separately from the whole. You exist within and are an integral part of the universe. All things that exist in our universe are entangled in the same web of energy and consciousness, and that includes you. Entanglement, excuse me, entanglement is the term used in quantum physics to describe the fact that all things, no matter how far apart and separate they may seem to be, are connected at some basic level, and thus, when one thing changes, other things also change. If you are unfamiliar with quantum entanglement, here is a brief explanation. At the core of every atom are protons. Protons are composed of pairs of quarks. Quarks have certain characteristics, one of which is called spin. If you change the spin of one of a pair of quarks within a proton, the other one of that pair automatically and instantly changes in response. And that remains true even when you separate those quarks by an enormous distance. Now, let's quickly revisit the theory of the Big Bang, that event that science tells us is the original cause of our present-day universe that we experience. Everything was all condensed into something much smaller than a proton, and it was all entangled. Consequently, when any one part of the universe is changed, it has an effect on all other parts. What that means is that when you change your behavior or your way of thinking, the world also changes. When you change your mind, your world changes. Since you are a choice-enabled creature, you can make a conscious choice to change yourself and thus have an effect on your world. Such is your power. You may wish to go back and listen to Module 1 again to review what I said about you there. Law number 3, the law of harmonics. Everything is vibration. So, we know from science that matter is energy. Einstein gave us the formula, E equals mc squared. The material universe is actually a sea of energy. And energy vibrates in certain ways and has certain characteristics, like frequency, periodicity, amplitude, and shape. Frequency and periodicity are the time-related aspects of vibration. Amplitude and shape are the space-related aspects of vibration. That makes a three-dimensional space and time reality picture. The song of the universe comes together as one grand harmonic. If there was no harmony in the way the various interlocking and interconnecting myriad of vibrations that make up the physical universe interplay with each other, it would not exist. There would be chaos instead of a cosmos. A wave packet, like a quark, for example, is a harmonic. Quarks make up protons. Without protons, there would be no atoms, no molecules, no universe. The very existence of the universe depends upon harmonics. Even your body exists because of harmonics. If all the cells of your body did not agree to work together in harmony, conducted by the director whose name is deoxyribonucleic acid, you would not be able to have a body. Also, your thoughts are vibrations. If they lack harmony, we say they are discordant. When the results that show up in your life are not in tune with the ideals you hold for yourself, then it is because your thoughts are discordant, not in harmony with your ideals and with your core values, and also, of course, not in harmony with these natural laws. Since you have the power to choose how and what you think, you are enabled to create a life of harmony and success, or discord and failure. It is up to you. Law number 4, the law of polarity. Everything exists in pairs of opposites. All energy has polarity. There is negative and positive. We have electricity because we understand the law of polarity. Imagine your life without electricity. Try also to imagine life without the polarity of male and female, light and dark, up and down. Impossible. Nothing would even exist without polarity. Atoms are composed of negative and positive energies, electrons and protons. Protons themselves, again, are made up of quarks. Quarks come in pairs of polarities called up and down, strange and charmed, top and bottom. And even though we exist only in this present now moment, we perceive the polarity of time called past and future. That polarity enables us to have memory and to plan for the future. Imagine that. You can create a plan for how the future unfolds for you. Okay, now we come to that much hyped up and poorly understood natural law, the law of attraction. Like energy is attracted to like energy. Gravity is the prime example of this law of attraction. Individual stars are born because of this law. Hydrogen and deuterium atoms were attracted to each other. Stars came to be. Galaxies form around black holes, which have enormous gravity. Planets orbit stars because of gravity. You jump out of a plane and fall toward Earth. Why? Mass is attracted to mass. Gravity is the law of attraction in action. What is mass? It is the measurement of the density of matter. What is matter made of? Energy, vibrations, harmonics. Like energy is attracted to like energy. It is that simple and that eloquent. Everything is composed of energy. Your thoughts are a form of energy. Your thoughts create electrochemical events in your brain, which in turn produce measurable electromagnetic energy. Your neurons spark when you think, and this measurable electromagnetic energy is broadcast out from you into your world. Your emotions are a form of energy. You know that from experience. You can feel a person's anger or fear or love. You are feeling the energy emitted by that other person. Beliefs are ingrained, repetitive thought patterns. They are standing waves of thought energy. Your intentions are purposeful and consistent feelings. They are standing waves of emotional energy. So, like all forms of energy, your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and intentions attract and are attracted to similar forms of energy, that which is harmonious to your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, and intentions. Since you can choose how and what to think, how and what to believe, how and what to feel, and how and what to intend, you can choose to attract into your life any ideal you can create in your imagination. To enact this basic principle of reality, you need to work at harmonizing your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your true ideals and core values. Number 6, the law of transformation. Everything can be changed from one state to another. Energy can become matter. Matter can become energy. Everything can be transformed. For example, ice can be transformed into electricity. How? Ice can melt to become water. Water can boil to become steam. Steam can drive a turbine to produce electrical energy. So you can see that ice can be transformed into electricity. Quantum physics describes how energy becomes matter all the time. Electrons are simply wave packets of negative energy. They are not particles until a conscious observer decides to observe them. Yet, they form the outer shell of atoms, the basic building block of all matter. Transformation can occur through evolution. An example of evolution is that hydrogen and deuterium can become stars. So too can transformation occur through mutation. An example of mutation is that helium, through the process of nuclear fusion in the heart of a star, becomes carbon. So too can a unique creation occur through imagination and willful intent. The International Space Station is not a result of evolution. Steel did not evolve to become the International Space Station. Likewise, it is not a result of mutation. The Wright brothers' flying bicycle did not mutate to become the International Space Station. It is a result of human imagination. Imagination can become reality. Ideals can become results. Thoughts can be transformed into things. In fact, focused, intentional thought almost invariably becomes tangible, physical things. You could choose to allow your life to unfold according to the evolutionary effects of historical habits or according to the mutational effects of random chance or according to your personal creative abilities. All things that can be thought of can be made real, be made manifest. If you can think it and believe it and desire it and intend it, the potential for its manifestation already exists. You do not need to invent the process for it to come into being. It is already there. You may have to discover it, but you do not have to create it. Whatever exists already in your life can be transformed from what it is to what you idealize. And since you can make choices about what ideals to create in your imagination, you have the power to transform your life in each and every present moment. Number 7, the law of abundance. Everything multiplies, and it's a darn good thing, too. Imagine what dire straits we would be in if one kernel of wheat planted yielded only one kernel of wheat as a crop. But a single grain of wheat, when planted, will yield about 85 new grains of wheat, 84 of which can be turned into flour and with one saved to be replanted to yield yet another 85 grains of wheat. It's kind of like magic. The universe is expanding. New stars are constantly being creative. More space comes into being each moment to contain those new stars. The original energy released by the Big Bang is still being transformed into more complex forms of matter. Abundance is everywhere. Everything multiplies. Problems multiply when you focus your attention on problems. Solutions multiply when you focus your attention on solutions. Obstacles multiply when you focus your attention on obstacles. Opportunities multiply when you focus your attention on opportunities. Since you have the power to choose where you focus your attention, you have the power to effectuate the law of abundance and bring into your life more of the things that you are focusing your attention on. The question you need to ask yourself is, what exactly are you focusing your attention on each and every single day? Number 8, the law of compensation. Everything is in balance. It is true. Nothing in life is free. There is a cost to everything. Nothing can appear or be made manifest without some transformation taking place that causes the apparent disappearance of some other thing. I say apparent disappearance because that other state of energy has not actually disappeared. It still exists in potentia, and the law of allowingness will enable it to return if the proper conditions are brought to bear. Human beings instinctively understand that this law of compensation exists, and various philosophies attempt to describe it, and most societies attempt to impose it in some practical way on its membership. Karma is one way it has been described. Sin and retribution is another way of describing it. Effort and reward is yet another way to describe it. Sowing and reaping is another allegorical way to describe this law of compensation. Of course, no God personally punishes you for your sins. That is just the allegorical description of the law of compensation. If you jump off the roof of a 23-story building, there is nothing personal in gravity pulling you to your death. In other words, you punish yourself for your sins or discordant behavior, and you reward yourself for living in harmony with your core values and ideals. The law of compensation keeps everything in balance. The law of compensation says that there is a price to be paid for every condition. Nothing comes for free. Some price or exchange of energy is required in every case. Every moment of life lived is a moment of life spent. The pleasure or profit enjoyed in that moment is paid for with one of the moments of your life. There is no gain without some loss. There is no loss without some gain. In order to obtain any form of wealth, you must transform some other form of energy into material abundance. You can pay with your time, or pay with your blood, sweat, and tears, or pay with your contribution, or pay with your creativity. Masters of the game pay the price of prosperity by thinking new thoughts and creating new ways to express themselves that will add value or benefits for other people, thereby adding to the totality of the universe and the overall wealth of humanity. Okay, now you have a basic understanding of the rules of the game and how truly powerful you inherently are and can become when you decide to utilize these fundamental principles. So now let's take a look at that understanding and look at direct application. You now know these things. 1, that all effects have causes and that you are a causal agent. 2, that you are an inseparable part of universe, and when any part changes, it affects the whole. 3, that the universe is composed of energy, and energy is composed of vibrations that can be either harmonious or discordant. 4, that harmony creates both the cosmos and desired effects, and that discordancy or lack of harmony creates undesirable effects and chaos. 5, that every state of energy can be transformed into another state, just as every state of mind can be transformed into any other state of mind. 6, that scarcity is an outmoded state of mind, and that abundance is the natural flow of all creation. 7, that the price to pay for your success and abundance is the volitional and intentional focus of your attention on your idealizations and conceptualizations. Okay, now let's briefly revisit those original internal factors from Module 1 that you have the power to control. Discerning purposeful choice is where it all begins. From there, we need to develop the self-image, self-esteem, self-worth, self-discipline that you need to have to understand your power, the power you have for your thoughts, emotions, beliefs to change reality through your attention and intention, and to live a life on purpose. It has been my intention to provide you with the insight to develop the self-worth, self-esteem, and self-image you deserve to have by showing you that your life is a profound miracle that should be honored and celebrated, not only because of the literal magic of you being an integral part of the universe, that you are conscious stardust, but also the understanding that your personal consciousness is an integral part of universal consciousness and is the same in kind and quality, if not quantity, and as such has the same attributes and abilities. That is to say, creative power. The choice to adopt that belief is yours. If you do adopt that belief, you will have no doubt as to your deservedness. Beliefs are built by the repetitive affirmation of ideas. It is up to you to keep telling yourself what you choose to believe about yourself until it is so ingrained that you assume it to be the truth. You already have a set of ingrained beliefs about self, about the nature of reality, and about your relationship to that real world, which, as we have seen, is a set of effects. I ask you to examine these beliefs of yours and to dump the ones that do not serve you and take on new ones that do serve you. Look at your beliefs one by one and ask yourself, where did it come from? How did I come to have that belief? Does it serve me? How? Can I hold a different belief, a more empowering belief? Your mind is a creative tool, your creative tool. Like any tool, it can be used crudely or skillfully. The creative aspects of mind are imagination, conceptualization, idealization, visualization, supported by belief. Your patterns of thinking, conscious and subconscious, that repetitive self-talk, is how you describe reality to yourself. So learn to take control of your thinking. Focus your thoughts on your ideals. Place your attention on your life master plan and on your day-to-day goals. The more in tune you become with your core values, your ideals, and your life master plan, the greater vibrational harmony you will bring into your life and the more harmonious energy you will broadcast. That will serve to attract the elements that supply the abundance, success, and fulfillment you desire to have. Deciding to enact these things will not just bring purpose and meaning to your life, it will engage the infinite because you have brought yourself into alignment with the basic underlying creative principles of the universe. All right. I hope I have convinced you to be like Plato and become an idealist. You may want those material manifestations of success, but you now know that it is your ideals that are the causative forces that produce the material effects. All right, that is enough for this session. In our next session, we will explore how to go about making it all real. I want to thank you for being so amazing. I will see you in Module 5. Ciao for now.